Good.
Okay. I will bring the community development meeting to order, and we have members Ben Garbett, Jeremy Varner, myself, Nancy Montgomery, Art Owens, our village administrator, Brian Fott, who is our clerk, and joining us is John Ludy, who is a member of the Historic Signage Committee. And because we have several things to consider on that. So first thing on the agenda is to approve the minutes from the meeting before. So if everybody look at those. And I'll take a motion to approve whenever you're ready.
I would make a motion if, okay, I don't want to go too
All in
fast.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, those are approved. Hang on a minute, Dave, I'll give you the agenda. Thank you. Okay, next is our meeting with the Historic Signage Committee. And the first thing is to talk about the Technic title sign. And I have to admit, I'm a little behind the 8 ball on this, Art. So you want to talk about
Did
it?
you get the picture of the
Yes.
sign? The sign is in compliance with the measurements. It's a pretty simple right angle sign. That hangs off of a nice little wrought iron bar. The height of it is, I think, 18 feet off the ground. So that meets the specs, and so does the size of the thing. So it is in compliance. It just needs your approval.
Am I having questions?
I didn't. Did you print off the picture for John to look at, or?
No, I didn't.
I didn't either.
I'm
Have it
sorry.
someplace I can project it real quick.
I probably got it on my phone.
Yeah, we'll just email it to me. And we can like talk a little bit while I'm doing that, so people aren't waiting, but
Nope.
not nearly as cool as the sign, but I thought I'd show something. Throw this to Dale.
Do you remember about when you sent that? I've got all these things that say signs. It's Merchants Bank sign. Nope. Do you have it in your email?
Art, did you send that to me too?
Thought he sent it to both of us.
Thought I did, yeah.
All right.
Okay, here it is. I got
You
it.
got it?
If it would be easier for you though, on yours, I can give you the date.
Sure, that'd be great. Right here, if I just did this.
Last Friday, what was the date last Friday?
4th,
Okay.
Monday.
It's called Historic Signage Application.
Okay.
Here it is. You got it. Yep. Okay. This is what you want to look at right now? This is, okay, or is this the part you wanted the people to see?
Well, I think he wanted John to see all of it.
Okay, all right, my bad. So here's the sign itself, John, and then
And it's two-sided.
yeah.
What are the differences? I mean, I know what the differences are. Is there a reason? I mean, the size, and that's what we care about. I don't care what kind of scroll or accent in the middle he has. He was just telling you it's gonna be one of those.
Yeah, just one of those. Just
Oh, okay.
Their choices there. But
Yeah, because the only difference is,
Here and here.
yeah, he had the measurements written, if you go back up, the measurements were
Yep.
written on this, one of the signs, I think. Yeah,
Right here,
there.
32 inches
32
by
by 18,
18.
and then on the application itself, he defined the height, which the application is the first page.
Go scroll up, yeah, okay.
Yeah, right there somewhere, he defined the height.
I love it being on the wrought iron, whatever. But
12
that's,
inches from grade, so the ordinance says it has to be at least 10 feet above grade, and he's 12 feet above grade on the sign, so.
okay, but the first thing on this ordinance says a flat or wall sign and or gold leaf type of window sign. Is that not what I'm reading from?
There's a
this?
right angle in there too.
Okay, because I really like that.
And by that, you help me out, Art, you mean, you're meaning that if this is the wall, it can be,
Right.
yeah, exactly, right, to making sure.
This isn't the full ordinance. This is what's in the packet. I asked to see what businesses get when they get the packet.
Well, the right angles where the measurements come in, it has to be
Okay.
within those measurements, and it has to be at least 10 feet above grade,
Okay. Good enough for me.
And they're doing 12, right?
and they're 12, so.
Anybody have any problems with it?
I think it's gonna be cool. Personal.
Would anybody want to make a motion to approve it? A second.
I'll second.
So we can just do a voice vote. We don't have to do a roll call vote, right? Okay, voice vote, everyone in agreement. John, that includes you. Say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, okay.
You guys will
So
just
that's
sign that
approved.
application. Do you have a copy of the application, a paper copy?
I
with you?
didn't print one
All
out.
right, well, I'll get it before the council meeting's over, and you guys will need to sign that, and,
Will John need to sign it?
yeah, I'll go get it here. Well, let me just go do it. You don't need me right now.
Okay. All right. Now, the next thing is Art said they had complaints on Coffee Loft and Cherry Street and Walker Law Office. And what those three have in common, I went by the other day and took pictures. They all have banners. Wish I had the full ordinance. See what this says. Did you all read what about in the ordinance? Because I know it refers to banners.
Also had a complaint about the standing sandwich board sign because it was right in front of the Grant statue. I went and talked to Shannon. I said, just back it up towards your door some. So I don't know whether
Yeah.
she's been in compliance with that or not.
So was the complaint about the sandwich board style
No,
or
the
just a
lo-
proximity?
location.
Okay,
It
okay.
was right in front of the Grant statue.
So easily solved.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, good. All right.
I don't know that it has been solved. I haven't been up that way to check. so.
Okay, this says no business shall use, place, or erect temporary or non-permanent signs, sandwich signs, trailer signs, or vehicle-mounted portable signs for advertising displays or business identification. But she's not using it for business identification, right? She's using it like a menu or,
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know, I
like,
haven't seen it.
The
Well,
specials of the day.
that's a sandwich board. The banner, however,
Right, he mentioned, I
Oh,
just went
okay.
to it because I saw it right away.
I gotcha.
It's not the
Um,
coffee loft, although it may say coffee loft on the sandwich sign. I'm not sure, but it's designating the specials, I believe.
Cherry Street Cafe has done that for a while. Too.
Yeah, they do that
Nobody's
too.
Said anything about that, so.
Um,
I noticed that the coffee loft has a canvas tied up
Well,
hang on
that's
up
what,
above.
so does Mike. Of course, Mike's is all torn up. And then Walker Law Office, I went by his. His looks like he's got two small canvas banners hanging.
Hey, inside or outside?
Inside.
Can we regulate inside signage, I guess, or not?
Does everybody have to sign this, Art? John, you want to go ahead and sign that, and then that way when we're done, you can leave, or you can sign it as you're leaving. It doesn't matter here. Yeah, I'm looking for the, we're talking about, first of all, we got off track, sandwich boards. Because what I've got from their business packet, when they set up utilities, it says, hang on.
Do you have the whole ordinance or you want me to go pull? the
I've got it
ordinance?
on my phone.
Is it from email? Because I can bring it up right there.
I don't know why I'm so disorganized. We just had so much come up at the last minute on this stuff that. Okay, whoops. Hang on, and I will find it right here. You should have it. I sent it to you.
That's what I was
guys.
gonna say. So if you can,
Tell you when.
which one this is here? Is it the,
Got it here. It was, the ordinance was in December of 16. It's ordinance 584. Of course, the ordinance is not here with it.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
Do you have a copy of it? I can read it.
I don't, I have the old one.
Okay, so right now we're looking, let's do banners. That was the original, those were the original complaints. There's right angle. I see what you're saying. Well, here's for a second story, a wall sign. Cannot extend higher than whichever of the following is the lowest, 25 feet above grade, the lowest point of the roof. For second story sign advertising the business, it may only be located in the windows of the second floor. The entire sign shall be affixed to one continuous flat vertical opaque surface. Sign shall not be attached to roofs, chimneys, smokestacks, stair towers, penthouses, and the like.
Which section are you in, Nancy?
Okay.
Two at the top there.
Okay.
And I think with the coffee loft and Cherry Street, that's the issue right there. His is, the Cherry Streets is peeled off of the opaque wooden board and the coffee loft just didn't attach it to one. It's just a banner attached to the building.
Yeah, she's
directly.
got it tied to like
Yeah.
a window frame or something. But I swear when I read this before, I saw something about banners in here that were for temporary use of advertising. But I can't. Talks about canopy, marquee, and awning, but I'm not seeing.
It's section N, page 4 at the bottom.
Canopy, same thing as a banner? Thought a canopy came out over.
I thought that was an awning.
Oh. Maybe that was the old one I looked at.
And H on top of page 3.
That's the one I was looking at.
But when I saw, it must have been in the older one. The one I saw specifically said banner.
Yeah, we had some issues when the smoke shop was there with that one banner that came down the side of the building. Remember that, Nancy?
Mm-hmm. Well, and one of the things I remember about it is it talked about this 25 feet above grade, lowest point of the roof. And it talked about the second floor and being on a vertically opaque surface. So I want to say it probably got included into that because some of that is exactly what I remember.
Didn't we even get into, like if it was above the first floor, it had to be below the bottom window line? It couldn't be above that.
I don't remember. John might
Does
know.
that make sense or not, John? Do you remember? If we had like a sign that was above ground grade, if it were up, it had to stay below the second floor windows. I don't think it could be higher, couldn't be in between the second floor windows, I don't believe.
Okay.
I guess the exception to that is if there's an upstairs business, I suppose.
Right. But I think,
Like above Ulysses, the old Ulysses says they've got the
Yeah.
photography.
right. And there's is on the inside of their sign, it's painted, isn't it?
Who's,
I can't remember. Mackley Studio.
oh, I don't know.
You know, you look at these things every day, but they never
Right.
click until somebody says something. It's
Yeah.
like, oh.
But we know that at least the coffee loft's probably in violation with their canvas sign that they have hanging.
But
by
if she
ropes.
put it on a board or something and put it
Yeah.
right back where it is, that would be fine,
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
yeah.
Okay.
Walker Law Office, there's something in here that talks about inside signages.
Yeah, he got two small banners, one in each window. They're just very small vinyl banners.
Yeah, I took pictures of them. If somebody's not familiar with all of these, I went by the other night, and took pictures of each of them.
I would assume that the banners that are there presently would be removed from the projecting sign for Walker and Thompson.
Oh,
When that goes, others will come in.
yeah.
Well, that's a different building though, isn't it? We're talking where Tom Grannon's office is. There's a,
I don't know if he still has his right angle sign, but that's the building that Walker Law is in, this Tom Grannon's building.
In section I, it says permanent sign on the inside of the glass of a window may be allowed if it is compatible with the historic district area and approved by the signage committee. Such signs will be included as part of the total area of signs allowed for an individual building. Well, I don't think there's any problem with the size of them, isn't it? Because isn't there a limit? You can't have over a third of them covered.
30%, right, down in J. They shall cover
30%.
no more than 30% of the area of the window in which they appear.
those are temporary window signs though, but if they're permanent inside signs,
That'd be back up to I.
yeah. Remember, we have a square footage of what a sign can be based upon the front facade, the
Right.
square footage of that. And again, that's not.
Was there something more than this
Yeah, there's-
ordinance here?
There's one ordinance 1172.
I was gonna say, because I'm not seeing some of the stuff in here
That might,
unknown.
I think John had an older ordinance.
And then there's one,
1172.
and then there's a 584 as well.
What do we have? You have what, 11?
Redo these and put them
72.
together.
And
We have
have
1185. What's the date on that, John? Look on the very back page. This is October of 2016.
this is December of 2016,
Oh, December, what'd I say?
October.
I think that 584,
Somewhere there, right?
yeah, I think that 584 is the definition of the historic district.
Okay, so
this
you've
one would
got the old one.
supersede- Yeah, correct.
Well, this is newer than what he has. It's 1185. He has 1182.
Right, so
I have 1185 also.
Okay, well, the 1185 is what we have to go by, right?
Oh, and if you look,
Okay,
section
hang
1
on.
says ordinance 1172 shall be amended as follows. So this is the one we want to use for sure.
What we need to have is the one that define the square footage, how big a sign could be, and so I know that that's somewhere. I don't know whether that's in the application about the square footage. I don't know whether,
Give me the application, I can look at that. Because we just happen to have one right here.
yeah, how about that? Probably doesn't say, does it?
It asks for dimensions, but it doesn't say what the requirement is.
I think what we were concerned about, where the old Merchants Bank was, where Tom Mays is now, that whole big blank where the mural is. Someone could technically put like Merchants National Bank and have it huge on there. I think we had some parameters as to how big something like that could be on a vacant wall. Although if it said Coca-Cola, we'd probably not complain about it because that's what used to be on those walls anyway.
There's also the law office sign.
Yeah, right. And I'm not so sure that that's in the historic district.
Okay.
I don't know whether
Which were you
Dr.
talking
Donohue's
about?
building is in, I think
Stedham's?
it's,
Yes.
I don't think it's in, because I've had several people say something about it. I said, I don't think it's in. I've got the map. I don't think it is.
I'm not
in.
looking for trouble. I'm just trying to find things to compare it
Well,
to.
that has
That's
been-
all I'm trying to do.
That's been mentioned more than once over the years. Let's see, that's Grant. There's Main Street.
Pleasant. It'd be at the corner of Cherry and Pleasant, right?
be
See,
in the middle between
it cuts.
Main
This is
and,
I don't know whoever did this. This is the craziest historic district. It just goes between and around and I'm sure there's some logic to it. But she's
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah.
So she's not in the
She's not in
historic
the-
district.
By, even though the building next to her apparently is, which, I
Well,
don't,
it was, but there's not a building there now. I mean, that's part of the
Burned
block
out.
for the.
right. But I'm saying that it was split down the middle of a block.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Okay, probably the easiest one to deal with right now is, well, we talked about Shannon's,
Mhm.
about Coffee Loft. Is everybody in agreement if that is placed on, signs shall be constructed of wood, metal, or leaded glass. All signs for any single business shall be limited according to the widths of the building and part of the building occupied by the enterprise. If the area on the facade of the building has ample space between the windows, a sign may be affixed to the area but may not exceed it. Signs shall be constructed of wood, metal, or leaded glass. Is that in this ordinance?
I just don't know how to rectify that with on page 3, letter H, which says canopy, marquee, or awning sides, which clearly are not going to be made of wood, metal, or lead.
Well, they could be made of metal.
Awnings could be, you're right.
Yeah, awning side could be like where Shannon is, she could paint on the awning,
Right.
Coffee Loft.
Actually, if you would amend the signage to state that signs should also be, or could also be constructed of plastic, rigid plastic,
Hmm.
acrylic.
But just like the signs that Nancy put together for the village, I mean, looks like wood, but it's not wood.
Yeah.
It'll last for a long period of time, probably longer than wood.
And some kind of a polymer. Yeah, it's not a
Polymer.
plastic, it's a polymer.
Yeah,
Cloth, sorry.
yeah.
I think the spirit of it is the sense of permanence. It's not necessarily the material, right? But that it looks
Right,
permanent, right?
Yes.
Okay.
absolutely.
I think, Sarah's shop, I think her sign is an acrylic plastic sign. Looks like wood.
Right.
Looks like metal, but I think it's an acrylic.
And the logic, just to make sure I'm with you, is it's technically not listed as allowed here, but in the spirit of it, we don't have a problem with it. That's what I thought. Okay.
It should be constructed of permanent materials.
Yeah.
Rigid material. Not
Yeah.
plastic.
So then the question would be, does that eliminate vinyl banners? I hate to open that up and have these
Right.
business
No,
owners.
Because that's not really
if
considered
we-
a permanent.
We need to make these two things identical because it seems like there's some discrepancy between the application qualifications and what we have in this ordinance.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this has been, this says 584.
I think that was the original one.
So I wonder if it's been updated since. and
That
this is what
11,
they-
1172 was the next one.
There you go, man.
What did he say? 584 is what?
He's printing.
Yep.
Okay.
584 was first, then 1172, and then this 1185.
Okay, but then don't we go by the 1185 and nothing else?
Except for how it refers back to that. There's not a lot of definition in this ordinance unless there are
Yeah.
different rules.
And that's really important. Definitions are always important. Okay.
And I would also throw out, and this maybe is a discussion for a different day, that the world has changed a lot in this
Yes.
department in the 7 years, and maybe we need to update the update, because I don't personally have a problem with acrylic signs like what Sarah's got at her shop, and we just maybe need to.
Does it refer back to 584 anywhere?
It says 1172 shall repeal and replace ordinance 584. So this one, the 1172 supersedes the 584. And then this 1185 is amending 1172.
And this one probably has not been updated since 584, and this is what's given to the businesses. Yeah,
Which is from 1980. They even had typewriters back then. This is
I was
crazy.
gonna say, we can tell how old this one is, can't we? John, is this when you guys formed? This was 1980, is this when that was
I
first?
think, yes.
Okay, but
That's just a-
right now we have to go by this one,
Except when it references back
but
to.
it doesn't reference back, does it?
It amends 1172, the one in the middle it amends.
In its entirety. So that one's, we don't care about that one. Where does it talk about? Hang on.
So 1185 is right. That's the one that we go by.
So amended in its entirety, in my mind, means replaced.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, sure it is.
Okay, just good to know. Okay.
Yeah.
But didn't we have a whole rigmarole of, John, you probably remember this, didn't we have something, signs could only be a certain percentage of the face of a building? Yeah.
That's in this
That's in
one.
here. That's in section 1B on first page there,
I don't see what
35%.
72 says it replaces 584.
At
Wait a
the
minute.
very end of it.
Oh, is it?
Oh, no, that's the repair. There is something in here about 30% or something of the window. Yeah,
Okay.
they shall cover no more than 30% of the area of the window in which they appear.
I'm not talking about the window. I mean, if you had a blank wall,
Oh,
you could put a permanent sign on wall space. But it could only, you couldn't do your entire front if it was, and leave just the door. You have to have something scaled.
It was talked about. I do remember, I do remember the discussion.
Sounds like we need to do a little bit more
I was-
work.
I was just gonna suggest maybe, and I realize this might be frustrating to people left, right, and in between, but maybe table this and really spend some time looking at this in between times and come back on it. I mean, I realize that might require John to make the trek down again at some point in the future.
I can look back.
You're better than I am when I.
You'd have to pick him up if it's raining. So.
But since this complaint is under this ordinance, don't you have to act under this ordinance for those
Yes.
complaints?
Yeah, but
Under 1185.
Right.
I just have 50 million things swimming in my head right now about what operational definitions are and stuff like that. And I just have a suspicion that if I make the wrong decision here, I'm gonna hear about it. So I would love some time to, if you guys want me to make a decision, make a vote now, I can, but I am not feeling as prepared as I should be to do such a thing. Does that upset you?
No, I just think we have an ordinance. If we don't enforce the ordinances we have, what's the point of them? But I do think some work needs to be done on this.
Yeah.
So, if we find this additional information, we could get it sent out to all of you. And we could meet probably within 2 weeks, I would imagine, if we wanted to.
My
Natalie,
question is a legal one, though. I'm just in my mind. If they decide to redo this and combine these three together and come up with more stringent rules, can you enforce those stringent rules on these complaints here?
well, if we can find the complaints you have are already in 1185. That's with Coffee Loft having their canvas strung
Yes.
up. That's easy. Mike Mays is it's
Same
just.
thing.
It just needs reattached to his wooden
Reattached.
space.
And Walker Law Office, again, I'm not sure exactly what it is, other than it's in the windows. Is that what you said, Nate?
Well, they
Yes.
look like temporary signs.
They're
like,
banners.
they're like little
white
banners.
About that long, about that wide, and about that tall.
Well,
and the problem with that is with renting, they may not let him put something permanent on the windows. Maybe he needs to put something like Technotitle it does, or,
I don't know if this is his only law office or whether he works elsewhere.
I think this is it.
Okay.
As to my knowledge, this is it. I may be wrong. Okay, so I think according to this, can we all be in agreement that Coffee Loft needs to affix hers to a board or something? Am I reading this right? I mean, is that, John, what do you think about that? Are you in
The
disagreement?
canvas attached to a board, then attached to the wall, or does it need to be something, we talked about more permanent type of thing too?
Doesn't address that in here.
No.
Mhm.
Actually, I would consider what is there now a temporary sign.
Yeah, I would.
It needs to be a permanent sign.
But I'm not sure that attaching a temporary sign to a permanent sign makes it a permanent sign. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So if
Probably
you-
not.
I wouldn't mention that.
That's a temporary sign up there.
okay. So the way we're interpreting this, then, that is a temporary sign. All three of those would be temporary signs because they're banners.
The inside signs, they have a different definition, but it may still
Yeah, let's deal with Coffee Loft and Cherry Street. Okay, an existing sign that does not now conform shall be allowed to be repaired, provided the cost of repairs not exceed 35% of the replacement cost for the entire, we don't care about that. So we go down to wall signs, because those would be wall signs. Basically, all it says about that is they have to be attached parallel to the building, not project more than 6 inches from the building surface, cannot extend higher than whichever of the following is the lowest, 25 feet above grade or the lowest point of the roof. And for a second story sign, it has to be located in the windows on the second floor. The entire sign shall be affixed to one continuous flat vertical opaque surface.
Yeah, so that means don't cover the windows and don't stretch it between things. I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's section I is what the Walker Law Firm, that's what we would have to go by. If that's what we wish to address, it's captured in I. If it meets the,
Mhm.
unless he says that's only gonna be there for 60 days or whatever that time frame is, but I'm sure it's already
Well,
been there.
this says temporary is 30 days. It's already been there 30 days, I think. And then it goes into the size, how you can, total area of the signs for an individual business are used based on a sliding scale determined by multiplying the business building width by 1. If the use has less than 25 feet of building width, it is allowed a maximum of 25 square feet of permanent signs. So,
My reading is on page 3, letter J, if we determine they're temporary signs, then they have to not be temporary signs within 30 days, although it could easily give some extended time if it need be. But the idea is if they're temporary, got to be 30 days or switch to permanent. Trying
it
to,
says only if they advertise special sales or events.
right, but if you switch a temporary sign to a permanent sign, then it doesn't have to do that anymore. So in other words, if you take what they've got and just make them permanent, then they're okay. Is anybody else reading it that way?
Jeremy, you're talking about advertising the business there. I think what Nancy was talking about
Special
was
sales.
specials
I
like
understand.
Right.
paint on sale.
This is
or
talking
something.
about temporary window signs. They can have temporary window signs,
Gotcha.
like for a sale,
I got you.
but not more than 30 days. Then they have to take them down. Excuse me.
Again, Bink, this only replies to that defined historic business district that's
Yeah.
uptown.
Yeah, I've got that.
On the back.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but there's some buildings that look like they're split in half. I guess.
Literally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so.
Mhm. Um,
The other question I would have is, were they approved originally?
I don't think
When the
so.
signs were put up? And so then they didn't put in an application, but we need to make sure that this reflects going forward when we give out an app, because I know there's one application out right now, or is going to be one out. So they need to have what is accurate in that packet.
Right, and I don't know if this is accurate because I've not dealt with this before. This is much more strict than what this is. So, that's one thing we need to do is go through, but I do think we need to make a decision on these.
I was gonna say, I can pretty much guarantee it's not accurate because there are technologies and materials out there that
Right,
this needs to be updated and be
right. And this is,
independent of other things, so.
right, this is saying wood, metal, or leaded glass. And there's a lot of other,
Lead glass would be cool.
yeah, and there are a lot of other materials today that would be perfectly acceptable. I am sure that at least 2 of these were not approved. I don't know about the other one. I doubt it, but I don't know that. So.
These are on file that we would have them in the signage thing, so we can check on
Yeah.
that. So we can move on at least two of those three, because any revision of this will still have that same terminology in there. The only thing we'd do might be adding additional things that would not be applicable to their situation. So we could act upon that unless you want to see the others all up in front first before we, make any comment to these people.
John, what's your thought? Because you're the one who's been in this from the very beginning and been involved and put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and time into this. What's your recommendation?
So which one of these ordinances is given to the people
Taking it,
as they look?
They're just given one sheet, and it says on it,
It should maybe give them the whole ordinance
yeah, maybe we should.
where everything is spelled out.
Yes, I can make sure that happens.
That's what we used to do in the old.
Do you know who applied for for their sign and what they put on it? I mean, I know two of those opened while I've been on this committee and nothing came before us.
I can't remember the last time the signage committee met on it.
I can't either.
did we do the one for the flower shop next door? Was that?
Yeah,
That
we
was
did.
We did.
You may not have been here, but we did do the one. Yeah, we
We,
did.
we thought the John's vote didn't count anyway, so. No.
Some
I
of
called
them
him and he
haven't come.
ignored it. I don't know. Yeah, we did do that one. We did.
Yeah, I
And we
know
probably
that-
did it in this
I
committee.
know that Art poured over that to make sure that it met
Yeah.
the requirements of a post sign.
Linda next door at the flower shop. You got it through hers.
Yeah.
No, you're right. I don't even remember that. I believe you.
We're especially looking for Coffee Loft, Cherry Street Eatery, and
Walker.
Walker Law.
Sarah Egan, Jacob's Ladder, Stella Carrington, Sarah Egan's second app, Micah Danica Bailey, 116 South Main, Ohio History Connection. And that's it.
But we don't know whether they've been getting a full ordinance or just,
No, but it doesn't really matter because
they're going to come back with
it.
a schematic anyway, aren't they?
They
The only
didn't
way I
apply
think
anyway.
it might matter is in giving them time to fix the.
Well, I'm sure they were given this packet. They've been given this packet forever. And in it is the application.
But we don't know that. We can't prove that. So do we just get the packet to them again and tell them they have to go through the process, or how do you want me to do this?
Well, they're still in violation of just 1185
Yeah.
on the stuff, so. Yeah, they probably need to be notified that, we need to have a little revision of your signage out there in some kind way that's not
Yeah,
threatening to them.
Right.
And we can give them X number of days to get it rectified, or
Yeah.
90
I mean,
days. or-
I was gonna say they would have to have something printed or corrected or, they're not gonna do this overnight.
Is if for whoever does their sign can't get it done in a specific thing, then we could grant it extra time if there
Yeah,
was a need
if
for it.
they've shown they've tried.
so what do you want? Did you say 90 days?
It's up to this group.
Are we allowed to make
Well-
that number up? Because it's not written anywhere.
No,
So are
I
we
would-
allowed to just make a number up?
Well, it doesn't say in there how long, it doesn't specify it in there, so
No.
I mean, yes, they're in violation, or they didn't even do an application, so
And I would
So
make them
that's-
do it. Here's the application for signage approval.
I'll take the I'll send them the application and the
And
full ordinance.
yeah, and tell them now that's two of them. Are we gonna do that with Walker also?
You have to, because he didn't do an application
Okay.
either.
At least for the application, if nothing else.
Okay,
Probably should send one to Rebecca Barney. It's in the old Thompson House.
Yeah, she should have it because
She
she,
called about some measurements just a couple weeks ago,
Yeah,
so
I'm sure.
I'll double check with her though.
yeah. And this really needs to be revised. This thing that goes in the packet they're given from the utility office, because this is still citing signage ordinance 584.
That's your group.
So we need to work on that and bring it up into compliance with 1185 and anything that we need to define, make clearer, any
Update.
changes, absolutely. And I think we should work with the historic signage committee. Don't you guys, since they're the ones who've been involved with this forever?
Mhm.
You didn't have anything else to do in life, did you, John?
No, I can devote a week to it.
Okay. All right. So we will do that. That'll be a major project. While we're at it, let's look at Dale said he had a complaint on the sandwich board. What's it say about the sandwich boards? Because it was talked about in here.
I didn't know if there was an issue with, I kind of like sandwich boards because it looks.
I did too.
I do too.
But, if they're hindering sidewalk traffic, then they have to be moved.
So-
We don't want it blocking the park because people are looking at the park for the park. Of course,
This is sidewalk signs in the right of way. Are sidewalks considered the right of way in front of businesses?
Mhm.
Okay, so
I
that would
think
do it.
you need to look at M, but you also need to look at G, or somebody needs to tell me the difference between a sidewalk sign and a ground sign is. G, at the bottom of page 2.
I think ground signs are attached to the ground, like they're.
Yeah, like a-
Posts or,
On 244 post
All
or,
right. Never heard that term before. I'm with you. I'm on M. Got it.
says they have to have a certificate of liability insurance to show to us. No sign permitted on any public sidewalk shall hinder or block ingress or egress.
I think hers is about a 2-foot sign.
It's not real big.
No, it's about that tall, probably.
And I don't think the one Mike puts out is real
Yeah.
big either.
no, I mean, and we use them, most of the shows that do upstairs, they've set one on the corner
Right.
here the day of the show.
Yeah.
Well, Mike's more in violation for putting his posts out in our sidewalk than he is anything else. For his
Oh, yeah.
canopy thing.
Well, sometimes he puts his sign, it's not in front of his building, it's down in front of the park.
We don't want to hinder business, but at the same token, we
Yeah.
don't want to clutter space.
But I mean, to me, I like sidewalk signs, but maybe that's not appropriate in historic districts, I don't know. But I do see where they shouldn't interfere with the right of way. But hers is small enough, it probably doesn't, does it? As long as it's moved back?
As long as she keeps it back, would be okay with that. Of course, I'm not the signage committee. but
Right.
In fact, that's what I told her. I said, pull it back towards your building so it's not in front of Ulysses S. Grant because he might get hungry and he might want to.
Well, and I understand the point is to get people to look at it, it's gotta be out where it's visible.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, John? About the sidewalk signs?
I think the sidewalk sign at the Grant statue is fine as long as it's not point out in front. So it does not hinder anybody that has come to town
Right.
to visit the Grant.
Well, look at that. If
Take pictures.
I think it probably ought to.
she could keep it within 5 feet of her wall.
I was gonna say, I think they ought to be pretty close to their business.
But I'm sure that she's doing that to stay, you can come on in, Kelly. So the parked cars don't block it too. So I'm sure that's part of that. So
Okay, so Art, you know what you're gonna do?
Yes, I'm going to
with
send
those three?
those three, an application, a letter, an application, and a full copy of the ordinance.
We're gonna take care of this, we're gonna ignore the sidewalk sign for now. And this committee, along with John and hopefully Selma, we will go through, see what needs to be, for
Sheets that we came up with for the square footage of what signs should be, wherever
Yeah.
that may be. I may have it somewhere, but
and then we also need to make this paper that goes into their packet when they get utilities, make sure they all agree. Okay, is that it on the signs? Because,
That's a meeting time and date. Not now, this instant, I'm saying at some point in time, you're kind of contact people.
well, while everybody's here, are there any meetings before the next council meeting?
Budget committee, I think is gonna be.
The committee's coming up, and that might be that meeting. I don't
Yeah,
know.
we have budget.
That's at 6:00.
You guys want to meet is 5 bad to meet before the next meeting, or do you want to do something a whole nother day?
Are you talking about the 24th?
Yeah.
I can be in town by 5.
John, would that work for you? August 24th at 5:00? Okay. I ought to be writing some of this stuff down, shouldn't I? Okay. One last thing, it'll be quick, but I want to run it through this committee before we go to council on it tonight. The LWCF grant, Land and Water Conservation Fund. It's a grant through the ODNR. And Art and I were talking, Pink and his group have given us money for the playground. The kegs profits going to the playground. We've had donations for the basketball court. We've been talking about both of these forever. Anyway, I would like to, the LWCF used to be every other year. But at some point, they started doing it every year. And I hadn't even thought about it because I thought this was an off year, but there is grant season for this opening they're due November 1st. So I would like permission to go ahead and write the grant for that and submit it. And I'll have to depend on Art a lot to give me the figures for what everything's going to cost. But other than that, I'm pretty good with, quoting all the SCORP guidelines and whatever else we need to put in there. So do any of you have a problem with that? Free grant writing?
I would actually encourage you to do it.
Well, I just didn't want to
Only
bring
do I
it
not
up.
have a problem. Okay, yeah.
just don't leave council in the dark so that they'll come back and it's a surprise to them. Let them know what's going on too.
Well, that's why I want to talk to him
Yeah,
tonight about
okay,
it.
that's fine.
I think that you mean like updates along the way too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, actually what the request is for and for how much.
Oh, sure.
Oh, okay,
Sure.
okay.
Yeah, no problem. So, and if y'all don't want me to do it, that's fine with me too. I mean,
No, that's fine.
just costs my time. I think that's probably all we ought. I'm sorry, Jeremy.
I told you I'll bring it up later. It's okay.
Okay, so, since it's almost time to go into council,
So are we just gonna take these things in next meeting or we're not gonna have a special meeting?
Well, the one at the bottom, when I'm going to talk about that, the veterans banners.
okay, you don't think that ought to be
No,
talked about
no.
in this? Well, we already talked about it once, so.
Yeah, but I didn't know that. I mean, well, okay, I'll let it go.
Is,
Businesses come in.
Say what?
You ready?
so are we gonna we're just gonna carry this over to the next meeting? Okay, all right. So now I should say we should motion to adjourn? Or,
Yes, I'll entertain a motion to
That's what I
adjourn.
say. Then I would, okay, so move. Sorry.
All in favor, aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so we just, from this point onward becomes